Okay, working on my front pump of my Turbo Limited Buick on a 204R, and if you follow my stuff, you'll see that what happened is one of these pump rings broke, which was common back then. They weren't of a hardened material, and that's what supports the vanes in the pump. So it did a little bit of scoring to the outer part of the pump here, but that's not terrible because the vane's right against these holes here, because that's where the fluid comes in, is right here, and it goes out here. So that looks pretty good. I am going to machine this a little bit and clean it up. There's not much action here either. This looks pretty good. So what we're going to do is our friends at Transgo make hardened rings that don't break. So we put the hardened ring kit in, fits the old 700s and early 4L60s too. That's part of the upgrade, is we're going to go from a 7 vane to a 10 vane pump as well. So the 7 vane pump was 204R and early 700, but the later 700s and 4L60Es use this pump. It's a 10 vane pump. So we're actually going to have more vanes for I guess a better pump, so to speak. So when I do these, and I am not a 204R expert by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I've done my own for a while and local customers, but I am not the world's go-to 204R builder, but I know enough to be dangerous. And the other thing is these stator supports, you know, where the converter rides. See how those teeth are really getting chewy? That was common too, so we put a hardened stator support in. See how those teeth are hardened? That supports the converter and the one-way clutch. If that strips out, the converter is going to multiply torque all the time, so you won't get out of its own way. So we're going to go ahead and machine this cover, and we're going to assemble this pump. When we come back from commercial break, I'll show you the completed 10 vane assembly. I have to mic all this stuff, and we have to do a measurement. We want probably 1.5, 2.5 thousandths clearance max once this is all torqued up, and I'll show you how we're going to get that done. Okay, working on our Turbo Buick 204R here, and I measured my new rotor, and it mics about 707.5. Okay, and I measured the I machined this, I should say. Those little lines in there aren't gonna hurt anything. That's where that broken ring was. The vanes they right out here, so it's away from that mark. It ain't gonna hurt shit. At least for I'm slow. I'm not 9-second cars, so this will be fine. But I machined this down. So when I machine this outside down, that's going to tighten up the distance between here. See, because there's a counter bore up here. So I got my depth mic, and I'm micing like right at 709. So that's good. That gives me 1.5 thou clearance between the rotor and the pump. The vanes are about 1 thou less than that. I mic the vanes, so that's good. So I've got about 1.5 thou clearance between the pump rotor and the pump housing, and I've got probably 2.5 between the vanes and the housing. So this should pump fluid very, very well. I enlarged the drain holes to 5/16 right there, and we're ready to go. So we'll put the bushing in, we'll put the seal in, and we'll set it up. All right, I got my pump all assembled. I've got my new 10 vane pump in. So these are the rings that broke right here. See this ring? That actually supports the vane, the actual vane itself, against the slide. And this slide is spring loaded because when this comes out like that with pressure, it actually increases the volume. So that's what that spring does, keeps that slide over. There's a seal here to keep it tight up against here. There's a pin with a spring. This turns real nice. Let me say I mic'd all this stuff to give me 1.5, 2 thousandths clearance. Looks really good. Got my pressure regulator valve in. Put my converter valve back in. The emergency blow off valve is back in. Pressed in my new hardened Taiwan stator. Hopefully it's better than the original, but I think that's all you can buy anymore. So we'll slap this together and see how she goes. But there's a crash course on 204R pump modifications.